You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
Look at the stars. The great kings of the past look down on us from those stars. So whenever you feel alone, just remember that those kings will always be there to guide you.
I don't think it is very useful to speculate on what God might or might not be able to do. Rather, we should examine what he actually does with the universe we live in.
We are all explorers, driven to know what's over the horizon. The most profound discoveries are not necessarily beyond that next star. They're within us, woven into the threads that bind us.
Hello, beautiful people. Happy Thursday, happy Jupiter Day, and happy birthday to some notable Cancers, including Ringo Starr. He's a Cancer. Let's see. Anyone else popping up? Jim Gaffigan is a Cancer. It's, it ebbs and flows. Like we said yesterday, some days we have so many notable people to name, other days it's just a few. But if it's your birthday, if you are a Cancer, let us know in the comments so we can celebrate you and give you a shout out too. So today's episode is going to be a little bit different than normal. It's going to be definitely woo-woo. So if you are a fan of all the woo-woo things, hang out. We'll get to the basic astrology forecast, just a few connections with the Libra Moon today before the moon moves into Scorpio tonight. We'll talk about that. But today's date, 7/7/22, holds some significance. So we're going to talk about what the number 7 means in numerology, and something else going on astrologically, but also involving other star systems that many people in the spiritual world believe is a portal opening. So we're going to get a little woo. Bear with me. Hopefully you're into it. And we'll get to the astrology forecast in a second too. So the sun is in Cancer still. The moon is in Libra, moving into Scorpio. The sun and moon, when they square off to each other, that's what marks the first quarter moon. So the sun and moon today are both in these cardinal signs. And there's an element of leadership, of responsibility that comes along with this energy. Once the moon moves into Scorpio, we're in full-blown water mode and the emotions get much deeper, believe it or not, because I know that they have been pretty, fluid. Our emotions have been really pouring out from us throughout Cancer season, and especially I think since that new moon in Cancer, the feedback I've gotten is that a lot of people have been very emotional for the past week. Oh, good. I'm glad you're excited. So let's start with the woo-woo. And if you've ever wondered what a starseed is, maybe you've heard of the concept, maybe you've even explored starseed families, different star systems, things like that, you're really going to love this episode today. So from July 3rd to July 7th today, our sun, which is the star in the center of our solar system, right, in the center of our galaxy, our sun in Cancer has been conjunct Sirius. Now, Sirius is the brightest star in the night sky, and it is in mythology, Orion's belt. We have Orion. It's a pretty notable constellation in the night sky. There's Sirius A and Sirius B, or Canaan Major and Canaan Minor. I'm not an expert on these things, so if you are interested in the astronomy behind all of this, the mythology behind all of this, I encourage you to do your own research, and that's definitely favored with today's astrology forecast. But in mythology, Sirius A and Sirius B are Orion's dogs. They're known as the dog stars. But when we talk about spirituality, Sirians are believed to be one species of starseeds. And again, I am not an expert on this. I did my own research and just pulled a few little tidbits to give you. But if there's something that's piquing your interest, I encourage you to do your own research. Now, the star system, Sirius, actually has two different stars in it, Sirius A and Sirius B. So unlike our solar system where we have the one central star, the Sirius star system has two stars. And many believe it is home or has been home to extraterrestrial beings who have come to Earth in the past or have sent messages to Earth. And I believe at least one of the planets in that star system is believed to have water on it. So, you know, supporting life, things like that. In my research, there is a book written back in 1976. So this is not a new concept. Written by Robert Temple. It's called The Sirius Mystery. So if you're feeling really called to learn about this, I encourage you to maybe pick up that book. I have not read it myself, but it suggests that there was this tribe in Africa, the Dogon tribe, that had advanced knowledge of astronomy and the solar system given to them by Sirians who came down to Earth, by extraterrestrials from Sirius. So, you know, you can buy into that what you want, but this is something that is believed in many cultures around the world. And I want to refer to my guide when it comes to all things Starseed. Her name is Marissa, and she runs the account Starseeded. Let me see if I can pull up this post more clearly so you guys can see it. But this is who actually tipped me off about what was going on in the stars. So, one second here. One moment. Here we go. Okay, so she posted about this. I didn't know about it. She is a great follow if you're interested in learning more about Starseed. She has meditations you can do. She has a weekly group that does CE5, which is contact with extraterrestrials. The whole point of it is to send out loving, positive energy so that, you know, we're not relying on the government to communicate with ETs for us. So I told you this is going to be way woo-woo, way down the rabbit hole. But Sirius in astrology and in many cultures is believed to be our spiritual sun. And every year in the beginning of July, the sun in Cancer comes into a conjunction with Sirius, and their star system aligns with our star system. Now, when you start getting into spirituality and light and all these things, many people believe that when you sit under the sun, you're absorbing codes from light. You know, light is what energizes us. So these light codes are infused into our skin and give us downloads and knowledge and all these things. When our star aligns with Sirius, it's believed to open this portal where knowledge and information from that star system can come through our sun and come to us down here on Earth. So essentially, Marissa calls it a portal to connect with the cosmic consciousness with Sirius. She says it's a powerful time to connect to the star system and the wisdom, medicine, and remembrance associated with this star system. And I want you to keep in mind the word remembrance because we're going to tie that back into the astrology forecast. She recommends meditating, connecting with light. You can't actually see this conjunction because it's when the sun is in the sky, right? So we can't see stars when the sun is in the sky. But today, while the sun is, you know, in conjunction with Sirius, it's a great time to get outside and just let the sun hit your skin. See if any insights or knowledge come through, or even if they don't to your rational mind, just be in a beautiful, blissful, meditative state. And that can be really powerful today. She says she has a portal activation journey for Sirius. It's a 45-minute guided out-of-body experience. And actually, I think she just posted that she's doing a flash sale for this today. So if you're interested in working with her, she's an amazing guide. And she was on our show, The Spiritual Journalist. So if you're kind of new to the concept of what is a starseed, I recommend that you go and listen to that episode because she really breaks it down on a basic level. I know sometimes it gets to a point where we're like, what? Sirians, Pleiadians? Actually so interesting that yesterday during our episode, we started talking about the Pleiadians, another family of starseeds from the Pleiades, another star system. But she has amazing posts that she does. She does astrological updates, but she also is very tuned in to what's going on beyond our solar system, beyond our galaxy. So you can see in this post, she says the portal is open, connect to the Sirius star system. While the sparkling star might not be visible to us in the night sky during this conjunction, you can receive Sirius's codes through meditating and connecting to our star, the sun. In ancient Egypt, this time of the year was honored and celebrated because it would mark an annual mystical rise of the Nile River, which would bring abundance to the land of Egypt. Sirius B, a planet in the star system, is a blue planet, meaning it's a water planet. Connecting to the waters this week can also help the human integrate the cosmic downloads. So just something fun to talk about, very woo-woo, but Sirian energy it's kind of like connecting with aliens if that's your thing, and today is the day to do it. It's believed to be this portal that allows this information to come through, and the more people that connect to it, the more universal consciousness is raised. So if you want to learn more, head to today's forecast on thespiritualjournalist.com. I put a link to that episode with Marissa talking all about starseeds. But because today's date is 7/7/22, I also really quickly want to touch on the numerology of the number 7. This is something I like to do when we have repeating number dates. And again, as we keep diving into the forecast and what's going on with the energy of today, you'll see a lot of parallels. So the number 7 in numerology is associated with the spiritual quest. It's a combination of the numbers 3 and 4, and 3 represents, in basic terms, creativity. 4 represents practicality. So number 7 is not satisfied with just simple explanations, surface level information. It knows that there is real insight and gold buried deep, and that we have to really go deep within and be willing to keep digging and researching, looking for more to get to the truth, to authenticity. So today's really a day for asking questions, researching, listening, sensing, all these special skills. And if you are a life path number 7, today's a really powerful day for you, especially. But again, I'll refer you to another expert who I've interviewed on The Spiritual Journalist, Felicia Bender. She's known as the Practical Numerologist. Also on today's forecast on thespiritualjournalist.com, you can see a link to my episode with her, and she talks about the numerology of 2022 in general, because we have 222, a repeating year. The last time this happened was 1999, and it won't happen again in our lifetimes until 3033. So it's, these portals, a lot of people believe, 6, 5, 5, 4, 4, 3, 3, 7, 7, 8, 8 are all portals. And with Sirius and the sun making a conjunction right now, it's kind of supercharging this energy. And I know a lot of people have been feeling intensity lately, and it's beyond just the basic astrological forecast. I've been feeling it. I know so many of you have been feeling it, so there's a lot more than just what's going on with the stars and planets. Also, something, if you want to lean into the energy of 7 and dig deeper, maybe fall down a rabbit hole. CERN just went online over the weekend. I'm not an expert on that, but again, if that's calling you, maybe research that. It's some sort of particle or atomic thing. Again, I am not an expert, but I know there's a lot going on in the world right now, aside from, the wars and the recession and social justice issues and all these things. There's worldwide a lot of energetic activation. Hi, Court. Hi, Rachel. Happy you're both here. Karina, your favorite uncle passed away on this day 8 years ago at 9 a.m. Well, we are just honoring him today and inviting him to connect with you if you so please. And, it's for me, when people pass on, I find that I can connect with them in a new way, in a more beautiful way. And, that might be my Venus in the 12th house, just like I really love connecting with people on the other side. But sometimes we have more peace with those relationships after they've gained peace, after they've passed, or at least that's my experience. But thank you for sharing that, and just want to honor your uncle and invite him into this space of lovingness and of community. So let's talk about the astrology forecast now, okay? We talked about all the woo-woo, we talked about Sirius, we talked about numerology. Let's get back to what I am actually an expert on, and that is astrology. all about the moon in Libra today. And the Libra moon, actually, this is something Rachel and I were talking about on Instagram. We just chatted because yesterday was a really powerful day with the moon opposing Jupiter. It's like the comments were flooded on the live stream. Everyone was really feeling that energy. And Rachel reminded me when we talk about Libra energy, because she has a lot of energy in her chart that is Libra, so do I. We have a lot of similar energy in general, but we talk about balance, harmony, relationships with Libra energy, but there is this knowledge aspect to Libra too, always trying to find all the different perspectives. And so when we talk about this portal opening up, flowing consciousness from a different star system, we talk about the weight of the number 7 and how it's all about digging deeper and finding out more. Libra energy is very much about attaining knowledge. It's an air sign. It's all about communication, the mind, and Libra wants all the different perspectives. So oftentimes that's why Libra is known as being indecisive, because this energy knows that it doesn't have all the information and there's always another perspective out there, right? So yes, we're nurtured by our relationships under the Libra moon. We are wanting harmony and peace, but we're also craving more perspectives and more knowledge. And as we're coming out of the first quarter moon, inviting us to move forward and take action, it can kind of feel paralyzing because we're like, well, there's so many possibilities and so many actions we could take. So my recommendation, and I believe I said this yesterday too, is flow with the path of least resistance. Whatever is going to create more harmony and balance in your life under this first quarter moon is generally favored. And, just kind of going with the flow, keeping things peaceful, not necessarily rocking the boat under this quarter moon in particular. But also, if you're feeling like, okay, I don't know which way to go or what action to take, finding new perspectives, gaining new information, going deeper within, maybe following your curiosity and researching one of the topics we talked about today and seeing if that gives you any clarity in any way. Rachel asks, did anyone have crazy dreams last night? I had a pretty intense dream last night. I am still processing. I had a really intense dream this morning, actually. And it felt really real. And it was definitely, I could tell I was between full dream state and full waking state because I was still like, do you ever do that where you're like processing what's happening and you kind of know you're dreaming, but you're also like, it almost feels like in that state for me that I'm like in an alternate reality or in another realm. So in my dream, just to share with you all, I was pregnant and I even like woke up like holding my belly like I was pregnant. Like the whole dream was just like holding my belly, and unexpectedly in my dream ran into people I no longer communicate with. It was really bizarre. So I'm right there with you. And, there's nothing going on with the moon that directly links to wild dreams, but I know a lot of people have been saying that over the past week. And we've been talking about this energy over the past couple of days. Sometimes these insights and downloads come through more easily when we allow our mind to rest, especially those of us like me and Rachel who are busy in the mind all the time, always analyzing. Sometimes when we actually let our mind sleep and rest is when we can bring through these insights, downloads, these realizations, and let our subconscious take over a little bit. Ooh, I was like touched in my dream and I felt it in real life. Oh, your dream was traumatic. I'm so sorry. More like a nightmare. Well, you're safe here, and maybe it's sometimes when scary dreams happen or when nightmares happen, it's like our mind and our subconscious trying to process really difficult emotions that we're working through, and kind of giving us really strong versions of what we're feeling. So I'm sorry you had to experience that. That's awful. But I'm glad it was just a dream and you're safe here and you're supported. And I always recommend looking up the dream meaning. Sometimes even like violent dreams don't have as intense of meanings. Like being pregnant in a dream is not necessarily meaning like you're going to get pregnant in real life. It just means like a new idea is ready to be birthed, is like a lot of what the dream websites say. So sometimes our subconscious sends us really strong messages that are indicators of something a little bit more subtle going on in our waking life. Let's talk about what's going on with the moon. So here's the chart. Moon's still in Libra for most of the day today. And we'll accept those cookies down there. So here is the Libra moon. Where is she? Over here, 23 degrees right now. At noon, the moon will form a trine to Saturn. And right around that time also, the moon will connect with Neptune this afternoon, but it's not a major connection. So it might feel like you're trying to make sense of your dreams, actually, with Neptune being the planet of dreams, but that you can't quite understand them fully. Like, it even might feel like, okay, there's all these different meanings that could be linked to this dream, but you can't quite put your finger on it. So just release the need to have it all figured out, to make it make sense. And, if anything does resonate, take it. If it doesn't, leave it. That's what I always say. But the main connection we're feeling most of the day today is this trine between the moon and Saturn. And remember, Saturn is retrograde. So when the moon harmonizes with Saturn like this, it does slow us down a little bit, and it can help us act with maturity and responsibility. It's a really positive angle, even though Saturn generally has a negative influence. So when the moon harmonizes with Saturn today, it's like we're really coming to terms with our responsibility. And I think it's a great point to remember that Libra is a cardinal sign. It's a gentle leader. So it's allowing us to come into this state of gentle leadership. That doesn't necessarily mean it's like, okay, we're going to take action and this is how to do it. I find Libras can be really beautiful leaders, just leading by example, and their energy can be like an energetic lead for other people. It's not necessarily that they're like a Capricorn where it's like, okay, I'm the boss and this is what to do. Libra's cardinal energy is just more, it's more balanced, it's more just like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you the benefits and the outcomes, but I'm not going to force it on you type of thing. It's not as persuasive or convincing, although Libras do tend to be a little bit more, judgmental, or they can be argumentative, I would say, because sign of justice. But I think it's a nice reminder when the moon connects with Saturn this afternoon to lean into that gentle leadership. And a really beautiful way to do this, especially if we're feeling unsure under this first quarter moon of what we're doing next, where we're going, is actually to have a conversation or communicate, bounce your feelings off of someone else. And Saturn really encourages us to find someone with more wisdom, more experience, maybe an elder in our family, someone who's more spiritually evolved than we are, to share our feelings with. And getting someone else's perspective under the Libra moon, especially someone you respect with Saturn in the mix, can help you sort out your next move, your next plan of action. With Saturn retrograde, looking to the past, Saturn is also the ruler of time, right? Looking to the past can actually give us clarity on how we want to move forward and progress under this moon phase. So that could be, talking with an elder, a grandparent, an older aunt or uncle, and asking them about their past experiences, asking them about family history. Sometimes learning our own history or our lineage can make it clearer what we're here to do, what we're meant to embody in order to either break cycles or continue positive traditions. So the moon harmonizing with Saturn today is really this wise energy of, going back to our roots or to our foundations and figuring out like, what wisdom can we gain from people who've been through more than we have, who have more wisdom than us, and how can that help us embody leadership more easily and move forward, even just be a leader in our own lives. It's not necessarily that we have to lead other people all the time, but taking action and making decisions to move forward is a quality of leadership. So in general, emotionally, on a personal level, this harmony between the moon and Saturn gives us more patience. It gives us more maturity. It really links us to responsibility. And I just see, like, call your grandma, call an aunt or uncle, call a friend, maybe a family friend who has more wisdom than you, or even, we're talking about people who've passed on and the ability to connect with them. hey, if you feel like you can gain some wisdom from people on the other side, sit in meditation and see if anything comes through. Or, maybe talk about that person who's passed on with another family member and see if any wisdom comes through for that. So there is this element of slowing down and really like slowly analyzing and gaining perspective through wisdom. The only other connection the Libra Moon makes today before the moon goes void and moves into Scorpio is a square to Pluto. So that happens at about 5 p.m. I'll just jump ahead here. And when the moon squares off to Pluto, power struggles are possible. Not the easiest transit to walk through. So you can see once the moon hits 27 degrees, there's that square there between the moon and Pluto. Pluto is, of course, the planet of death and rebirth. It's associated with control, manipulation, shadows, fears, darkness. And when we have a square, an activating angle like this, it can bring those things to the surface really quickly and really powerfully. So that's where the power struggles come in. That's where the difficult emotions come in, especially in our closest relationships with the moon in Libra. I would say this evening, just watch out for the tendency to control or manipulate, especially when we are feeling unsure. Sometimes we tend to try to get other people to answer the question for us or to make the decision for us. I know I'm guilty of this. And that can lead to power struggles because the person on the other end of the relationship is like, I don't know what's best for you. Like, you do you. So that's a possibility. But there is a positive potential, I say, of every transit. And as deep emotions are surfacing when the moon squares off to Pluto, this feels like definitely tipping the scales, like we talked about yesterday with the moon in Libra wanting balance, Pluto and Capricorn's like, no. Here's all the fears and the doubts and the bad habits and all these things that we're going to force you to acknowledge right now. We're going to force you to see these shadows. That's Pluto. But as these things surface, if we observe them and if we are a student to our own emotions, we can also release them. We can release fears. We can release bad habits. We can understand ourselves better. Really coming back into this energy of the 7 today, of digging deeper, of gaining more insight, of getting to the truth, of blending our practicality and our intuition, our creativity. So this could be a powerful moment this evening around 5 p.m. Pacific time where there's a release, some sort of release in your life that releases darkness, releases fear, and is creating room for more light as we begin to move forward and take action. So sometimes these fears come up and we realize that's what's been preventing us from taking action. Whatever it is, when we're fearful, when we're facing our own shadows, we tend to want to control the situation, control other people, manipulate the situation. Just watch out for that because it's not going to go your way. And the Libra Moon, as we talked about, can be a little bit argumentative because, we're always debating perspectives under the Libra Moon. And so it could get you into a little bit of trouble if you are too steadfast on this is what needs to happen, or I need you to figure it out for me, or, whatever that looks like for you. Diane says, interesting you say this, communicating with people on the other side. My dad just had an experience he believes may have been my grandfather communicating with him on the other side. Ooh, I love that. My dad normally doesn't believe in or talk about things like this, so it must have really touched him on an emotional level to tell my mom about it. Oh, I love that. Oh, I love stories like that. I mean, I grew up listening to ghost stories. My mom grew up in a bunch of haunted houses, so I've always been like really interested in these things, but it's especially powerful when it's the people who are like, ghosts aren't real or spirits aren't real or whatever, that have these experiences that are kind of like, oh, but maybe they are, so that's really cool. It's really awesome. And there can be a lot of wisdom gained from those experiences. So after this moment of maybe a power struggle or a fear coming up or some sort of intensity disrupting the peace when the moon squares off to Pluto, the moon then goes void until about 10 p.m. until it moves into Scorpio. So ending our day today, it's just permission to kick your feet up, to relax, to just chill out a little bit. And maybe finish some projects. If you did ruffle some feathers when the moon squared off to Pluto, say you're sorry, diffuse the situation under the void moon. Not a time to start anything new. I mean, it's not really favorable anyway to start something new between 6 and 10 p.m. at night, but if you're like me, maybe you're a night owl, you get a surge of inspiration at night, just wait until the moon moves into Scorpio, the void moon. If you want to start something new, it's really probably not going to amount to much if you start it under a void moon. But then the moon moves into Scorpio at 10:15 p.m. So here we go. Moon in Scorpio now. Nope. Now the moon is in Scorpio. This is early tomorrow morning, but you get the idea. The moon moves into Scorpio at 10:15, and we'll just touch on Scorpio energy. Of course, we'll talk about this a lot more tomorrow, but you know, Scorpio is the deepest sign of the zodiac. So if you felt like deep emotions were coming up today, or you were kind of getting pings of like, oh, I want to go deeper, or I'm having these feelings, the Scorpio moon is going to take you all the way down to the depths, all the way down to the darkness where the truth lies, where we are most authentic. And that's the energy we're working with over the next couple days. Scorpio moon can be really intense emotionally, and I say that with love. I have a Scorpio moon, and I love people who have Scorpio moons because we really crave intimacy. We are not concerned with surface level anything. Again, going back to the energy of the 7, it really does feel very scorpionic when we're talking about numerology. It's all about getting deeper, getting to the truth, craving even like not only intimate connections into the Scorpio moon. It can be very seductive, very sultry. We want to meet people on that like soul level beyond just physical space and time. Like we want to connect with them on an energetic level, but we also crave like secrets. And again, it's kind of like this energetic connection you make with someone else when you know a secret that only the two of you know, right? It's like this little bond that you have. So the Scorpio moon is very much about bonding in ways that are very deep, right? Surface level is just not going to cut it over the next couple days with the moon in Scorpio. And, you know, whatever has been coming up for you, you could get to the bottom of it under the Scorpio moon, either probably more like Friday, because most of us will be winding down as the moon moves into Scorpio tonight. But hey, maybe you could have some late night insights or some powerful emotions coming up as the moon moves into Scorpio tonight. So today's a day to just go deeper. Gain that wisdom, gather the information, and figure out how do I want to move forward. And then when the moon moves into Scorpio, I almost see it like bringing more clarity, getting to the truth of what we really want, you know, getting to the truth of our deepest desires. And if you've been unsure about things under the Libra moon, you might find some clarity under the Scorpio moon of like, okay, this is the truth. This is what's real. Venus is still forming a sextile to Chiron today. We talked about this yesterday. And still just within a degree of that sextile. So you can see, let's see, move back here a little bit. Venus is about 18 degrees. Chiron's still hanging out at 16 degrees. So they're pulling away from that connection to each other. But still, there is an element of wounds being revealed by our relationships, right? Relating to other people, kind of bringing up these wounds that we're forced to work through. And, you know, that very much ties into the energy of the day. Relating to other people, gaining wisdom by talking to people with more experience, more wisdom than us, and maybe working out some of those pain points that got brought up through relating to others, whether that's in a romantic relationship or in a friendship. You know, sometimes those relationships are our biggest teachers, right? The other connection, which we'll talk about more tomorrow, but the sun is starting to come into a square with Chiron. So you can see the Cancer sun over here, Chiron over here, that red line, that is a square. So wounds are going to continue to be part of the conversation. Healing is going to continue to be part of the conversation. And when the sun squares off to Chiron, it's really like forcing us to face our wounds. And this will be especially prominent as we head into the weekend, really bringing those fears and wounds to light, but in maybe a more aggressive or harsh way, because this is a square. It's a 90-degree angle. It can kind of blindside us. So, you know, especially what I'm seeing is like if you've been trying to keep the peace under the Libra moon, tomorrow, once the moon is in Scorpio and the sun is squaring off to Chiron, it's like, okay, you're refusing to acknowledge these pain points, you're refusing to acknowledge these wounds. Here you go. This is what you need to pay attention to right now. And the Scorpio moon's like, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel it very deeply. So I don't say that to scare you. It's just more of a keep this in mind. Chiron is still something we're talking about heading into the weekend. And it's a time of healing too. Chiron isn't just about the pain. It's about the healing opportunity there. And the Scorpio moon too isn't just about the fears. It's about getting to the bottom of things and finding the authentic truth in it. So, if you're in the middle of a healing journey and it feels uncomfortable right now, that's okay. You are right on time. Everything is happening for you in divine timing. Okay, what are you guys saying? Rachel says, I've been going through old memory boxes my mom had created for me for my childhood. A lot of feelings coming up during this process regarding childhood wounds. Yeah, that really makes sense with what's going on. And today with the moon harmonizing with Saturn retrograde, like looking back at our childhood, looking back at our foundations can bring us, well, it can bring up emotions very easily, but it can also bring us new perspectives. And sometimes those perspectives aren't always sunny and rosy, right? Interesting. I've been reaching out for some info, so maybe tomorrow my work will pull through with the Scorpio moon. I could see that. Yeah, getting to the bottom of things finally. Exciting. I believe my husband is going through an awakening. He's a Scorpio rising, and it feels right for him and for me too. Katie, once the moon moves into Scorpio, it'll move into his first house over the next couple days. And the difference between a 12th house transit and a first house transit, I mean, those of us with Virgo risings, Libra risings are going through that right now of like the 12th house is like, oh my gosh, make it stop, the ending, the emotion, the release, right? And then the first house is like, oh, okay, we're new again. I'm feeling myself again. So he'll probably feel a little bit more himself and confident once the moon crosses over his ascendant, if he's a Scorpio rising, probably Friday or even Saturday, depending on what degree his rising is at. Rachel says, a lot of healing moments and actually found some cards my grandma had written me. She died while I was in high school and I never had the opportunity to get to know her. Grateful to have these. Connect with those cards today. Read those messages today. See if any wisdom comes through that can bring you clarity about your current situation. It's no coincidence these materials, these physical things are coming to you when they're coming to you. You're meant to read these things at this time and maybe connect with her, like we said. Reading the letters, invite her presence in and see if you start to feel chills or anything like that, because even though people have passed on to a different dimension, heaven, whatever you want to call it, they still communicate with us. I firmly believe that. So maybe she even put the little ping in to go check that box or something, and then you have the opportunity to connect with her. Positive vibes and love to everyone. We will take that. Thank you, Queen of Wands. Oh, my typing thoughts simultaneous as your spoken words. We're on the same wavelength, Fern. We are on the same wavelength. Oh, your progressed moon is in Scorpio right now, 9th or 10th house. Everything in my life is being restructured, opening me up to my truth for sure. Scorpio moon is all about the truth, all about getting to the truth. And sometimes, like I said, the truth is uncomfortable. Sometimes we don't want to see the truth, and it's not necessarily a fun process. And sometimes the truth slaps us in the face. Those of us with Scorpio moons know that, like, if we're denying our truth, that's generally when we have outbursts or get really angry or get really frustrated, and the scorpion tail comes out. So you're right on track. Yeah, relationship issues at the moment. Ugh. A lot of people, you are not alone, Fern. I mean, in the past couple of days, the amount of people in the comments who've been saying they've been having relationship issues, full-blown honesty. Me and my partner have had a rough week. You're not alone at all. Especially, I think Venus and Gemini, it's like all these different relationship experiences, all this information and ideas coming in about our relationships can kind of feel chaotic in relationships, to be honest. Currently preparing myself for all of those emotions. And I would recommend, like, don't necessarily build it up in your head. I know that's easy to do, but just sit with it, be with it. If it's overwhelming, take a break, but just open to it. It doesn't have to be, I don't want to sound insensitive, but it doesn't have to be sad. It doesn't have to be awful, because when you're on a spiritual path, the most beautiful, I think, freeing thing that I have realized is that everything, all the traumatic things, all of the awful things, all the things that I'm still angry about, let's be honest, I'm still human. I'm not evolved any more than any of you, right? Those things had to happen for me to get here. I had to have every breakdown. I had to have every negative experience for me to become exactly who I am right now. And that's a beautiful realization, because you are exactly who you're supposed to be right now. And even if you feel like, I don't know what I'm doing, you're exactly where you're supposed to be. All of these experiences have guided you to this point, and all of the difficult experiences we're all having right now are here to teach us and push us in the direction we're supposed to go. So sometimes that can help when we're just like in the middle of difficulty, like, why is this happening? Instead of being like, why is this happening? Just saying like, okay, where is this leading me? What am I learning from this? And trusting that it's all panning out to get us to where we're supposed to go. Chiron is big in my chart. We'll keep this in mind. Definitely not being heard, so just in a lot of emotional pain. Yeah, that's rough. That is definitely rough, feeling like you're not being heard, especially under a Libra moon. Like, we just want our perspective to be seen. We want not only to get other perspectives, but we also want our perspective to be acknowledged. So that can be rough. And the sun's squaring off to Chiron too right now. It's just like core wounds. I don't know if any of you have like really sat on like, what's my core wound that is what I get really reactive about. That can be something to sit with when we're working with Chiron. So we'll talk about that a little bit more tomorrow. But you know, not being heard is a core wound many people have. Not being considered, not being acknowledged, are these core wounds that many of us have. And so sometimes those get activated, especially in relationship, right? And then we tend to have bigger reactions than maybe we even expected. So I'm feeling you, sending you good energy, Fern, and know this too shall pass, and you will learn something beautiful from it, even if it doesn't feel like it right now. Anyone else prepare for healing moments by stocking up the fridge with some desserts? Oh, we gotta love Rose's comments. You know, that's a great piece of advice. If you have a healthy relationship with food, I would say sometimes giving yourself a little comfort when you know you're just gonna want it. That's a fun little tidbit. Thanks for sharing. Trying to keep the peace in a few relationships, Diane says, hoping less of a blow up and more so progressive healing over the weekend, then get to the bottom of it. You know, remember, we can't control it. The more you try to control it, the more, at least under the Scorpio moon, and even tonight with the moon squaring off to Pluto, the more we try to control it, the more resistance we're going to face. So remember, like, it's not your job to keep the peace in relationships. It's your job to keep your side of the street peaceful. It's your job to keep your side of the street clean. If you come up into a relationship, into a conversation in a peaceful energy with less expectation, you're more likely to get a peaceful response back. The energy we put out is the energy we're open to receiving. So I have a Scorpio stellium, Mercury, Venus, Pluto. Scorpio rules my 6th house. Maybe I can tap into that energy and use it to my benefit. Yeah, so over the weekend, the moon will be conjunct your Mercury, helping you speak your emotions, conjunct your Venus, helping you feel loving feelings, probably very deep loving feelings. And then Pluto, there's an element of transformation that will happen with Pluto and Scorpio for most of us, actually, when the moon moves over Pluto for us. So Scorpio moons can be really intense times, especially for you. But I have a feeling, Diane, you'll be like, yeah, I'm just trying to keep the peace. And then there will be a moment when the Scorpio moon connects with your Mercury that you're like, no, I just need to say what I need to say, and I need to speak my truth right now. Just prepare for that moment. And remember to come into it. Try to come into it more loving, more peaceful. And even if you don't feel loving and peaceful, try to put that energy out. Fern says, I leave little rewards around my areas connected to my inner rodent and inner child, sugar lover, brownies, honey treats for me. This is funny that you guys do this. Maybe I need to try this. Leaving myself little treats. I love that. I felt the connection when I started reading them. I'm assuming the cards from your grandmother. We'll try to connect with her. I also found my direct birth times, and now I have to evaluate my chart. Isn't that so fun? You're like, am I really what I thought I was? Sometimes healing moments are welcomed. Uncomfortable, yes, but I know I'll grow and be wiser from it. I'll just make sure I pair it with something I enjoy. Dampens the blows from emotions, especially under the void moon tonight. Eat your heart out under the void moon. It's like a free pass because nothing bad's going to come from it. Nothing significant's going to come from it. You're not going to gain 100 pounds from eating one brownie, you know? Just the void moon is a great time to just give yourself a little bit of rest and relaxation. If that means indulging in some sweets for you, then so be it. Aw, thanks, Diane. All right. Well, we've talked about the energy at length. Now let's go ahead and, well, our affirmation of the day is I am willing to go deeper. Everything we've talked about is this element of going deeper, gaining wisdom, going within, collecting information so we are more clear on the next step to take. And the willingness to go deeper is sometimes all we need. I asked you to keep the word remembrance in mind. Remember, Saturn is retrograde and Pluto is retrograde, the only planets the moon is connecting to. So there is this element of review and remembrance and going back and gaining the wisdom from the past in order to gain more clarity for the future, to figure out what we really want moving forward. All right, let's do today's tarot pull. Since we talked so much about starseeds, have to pull from the Starseed Oracle deck by Rebecca Campbell today. And you know the drill. This is your time to ask your final questions. Let me know how the energy is feeling for you. Getting cuddles from my cats all day. Animals are a great way to work with healing energy. And actually that reminds me of Diane's comment talking about all of this energy in your 6th house. If you're feeling uncomfortable emotions at all under the Scorpio moon, under those connections, Diane, the 6th house rules are pets. So, you know, lean into pets, even communicate with your pets, give love to your pets. That can be really healing for you and even transformative under the Scorpio moon. All right. Let's see. Let's all just take a deep breath together. Here we go. Breathe in and release. What do we need to know? Oh my gosh. This is the exact card I pulled from this deck during yesterday's episode of The Spiritual Journalist. The exact card. It's the 7 star sisters. It represents the Pleiadians, or the Pleiades star system. So something we touched on earlier. Wow, I am blown away out of all the cards in this deck that we pulled the same one twice. And this card is all about birthing new creations, the tapestry of life, expressing ourselves. Wow, I'm just like, I'm mind blown right now. That's wild that that message really wants to come through to me and to you and to everyone who finds this video. It's all about new creations that want to be born, beauty that's yearning to be woven, new consciousness that's yearning to be breathed into life. If you draw this card, you're being called to surrender to these creations, to usher in a new era of consciousness and do your bit in weaving the web of life. I won't read the full description because we just read this for those of you who were with us yesterday. But if you do want the full description, just go watch the end of the Akashic Records chat with Veronica Lee. Wow. I really feel strongly that this card is reminding us to connect with higher consciousness. It literally says it's our job, part of our job to create is to usher in a new era of consciousness. And that might seem like a tall task right now, but sometimes it's as simple as getting quiet and letting wisdom come through. And that can be your job or your part in ushering in that next era of consciousness, doing a little bit of research on your own. Anything that we talked about that piqued your interest, follow that. That can be part of your birthing new creations, weaving them into the web of life, as the card so beautifully states. Isn't that amazing that we pulled the same card? I mean, wow. My partner is a Libra and I'm a Scorpio, so I'm resonating with what's been said for sure. Looking forward to going deeper. Yeah, so the Libra moon probably marked this point for your partner of like maybe an awareness or kind of feeling himself or themselves a little bit more. And if you're a Scorpio, the moon over the next couple of days will cross over your sun too. And that can kind of be a moment, like a new moon moment for you personally, of like new awareness or setting new intentions or things like that. So the moon energy is going to feel really resonant probably for you and your partner, Karina. Wow, I'm just still in shock that we pulled the 7 star sisters. I know this is definitely a message for me. This is the star system I feel most connected to, the Pleiades, but I think it's an invitation also. If you're feeling called to explore the concept of a starseed, like I said, actually, you know what, I'll just go ahead and put it in the comments if you want to listen to this episode of The Spiritual Journalist. Not just, you know, a self-promotion here, but Marissa really has a beautiful energy and she's an amazing follow on social media. She is also a documentarian. She just came back from like traveling the world and planting crystal grids all over the world, collecting ancient wisdom from all these sites. She's really a beautiful soul, and even my mentors work with her and do a lot of her meditations and CE5 communication and things like that. So if you are interested, if the idea of a starseed, and if you feel like you're someone who's like never fit in or you're like a little bit of an alien, you might resonate with the concept of being a starseed. So that could be a fun way to use today's energy to dig a little bit deeper, to open yourself up to new knowledge, new perspectives, and it might give you some clarity again about yourself and who you are and what feels most authentic for you as you move forward in this moon phase. All right, everybody, that is going to do it for today's episode of Transits Today. If you found this video helpful, interesting, please go ahead and like and subscribe to our channel. We put out new astrology forecasts every day, new conversations about spiritual concepts every week. It's completely free to subscribe, and full transparency, we got to get to 1,000 subscribers before we can start monetizing these videos so we can keep them coming to you for free. I'll be back tomorrow morning to talk through the energy of the weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, get you ready for whatever you have in store this weekend. And like I said, we'll be talking a little bit more about Chiron as the sun squares off to Chiron, and what's going on with the Scorpio moon moving into the Sagittarius moon by the end of the weekend. Sag moon is a little bit more fun energy, so that'll be a nice way to start the new week. And whenever I see you next, I hope you have a beautiful experience until then, and I hope today especially that you stay curious. Thank you so much for joining us and aligning with the energy of the universe today. If you enjoyed this morning's episode of Transits Today, you can join our live astrology discussion every weekday morning right here wherever you're watching. And head to thespiritualjournalist.com to read your daily astrology forecast and browse the Spiritual Shop. The most fun way to help keep these forecasts free and support more content like this is to buy yourself a little something on our website. But if you're feeling extra generous, you can also buy me a coffee to fuel future live streams. Just tap the link in the description or head to buymeacoffee.com and search The Spiritual Journalist. And speaking of, you can also tune in to The Spiritual Journalist, our weekly live interview where we ask our guests questions about everything from crystals and manifestation to mental health and the environment. Those conversations stream live right here wherever you're watching now every Tuesday. I'm so grateful you found us here, and I can't wait for our next conversation.